with Revionics. I'm with our Chief Technology Officer, Dave Thompson. And Dave's been sharing some interesting thoughts with me about 2016 challenges retailers face, and we got to talking about dynamic pricing and how the concept can sound very hard to adopt and be intimidating maybe for retailers. But Dave, you had some interesting viewpoints on how to get around that way of thinking and maybe get some execution going in 2016 with dynamic pricing.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of interest in this, and I think the first lesson that we're hearing from retailers is to be selective about where you're doing it. We tend to think about this in terms of omni-channel and e-channel retailers, where there's really not a lot of friction in making a price change, right? So you're getting those prices, you're sending them out, and although it's not always true, most, in our experience, that are working in the e-channel make very frequent, very rapid price changes, in response to any number of things.
So it's truly what we think of as dynamic.
So I think there's two kind of themes we see emerging in this, and one is across any channel, the biggest thing is avoiding that race to the bottom. Right? That's the thing that everyone really sort of gets on. Of if all I'm going to do is competitive match, I'm just going to zigzag my way down. Right? Maybe people think, well, I'll put a margin limit in there or something, right? But the reality is it's not practical. So what we're really coaching our retailers on in this is laying in the systems that allow them to take all of the different business constraints into play, right? So yes, you're going to make that decision multiple times per day, even multiple times per hour, right? But you want to think about it not just in the context of the competitive data, but also what you're trying to achieve. And our science,
goals, price strategy.
That's right. Our science frequently can show that you don't necessarily have to, for example, do a literal match. Right now, the data tells us this, right? We don't know until we go and look at it. So I think that's an important thing, and that's a way to sort of feel good about being responsive, right? Making sure your price image is reflecting what you want, but not getting into that awful death spiral, right?
It sounds like you're drawing a nuance between responsive and matching, and that's something, maybe retailers hadn't thought about. That this doesn't doom them to having to match always the lowest price in any channel.
That's right. And so, of course, we're gonna provide the guardrails, if you will, right, to do that, but in a richer form that allow you to take all these different, considerations.
So, in another area that you talked about that is difficult, particularly maybe for brick-and-mortar retailers to understand, is I can't have my stockers out changing the prices on the floor every 15 minutes. How does a brick-and-mortar retailer or an omni-channel with brick-and-mortar think about dynamic pricing?
Yeah, so we see a couple of things there. So one is, honestly, across a broader array, prioritizing the price changes that you're going to make through traditional means, right, through printing labels and so forth. And so that might just mean that the prices entering the store and being executed through a traditional setup, if the analysis shows that those are in response to competitive movement, if maybe the same price is changing on a daily basis, that's okay, right?
Okay. So that sounds like applying the science to really understand the key value items
and really rank and prioritize. Maybe I can make 100 price changes today. What are the most valuable 100 price changes? If tomorrow those same items could still be there, right? And in response to that. So then go beyond that, I think where we're starting to see a lot of interesting activity is in integrating ESLs, right, electronic shelf labels or price signs. A lot of times these were built, for other reasons, right? Sometimes for store labor, right, or execution. But there's a really good opportunity now with that because you can make intraday price changes very cost effectively. Now, I don't think anyone's going to be doing this, across the board, or at least not lots and lots of retailers doing that. But think about those categories where that makes sense. In retailers who are dealing with food, perishables, right? What sometimes called ultra fresh, right? Breads, bakery items, ready-made foods, those kinds of things. Good place to start, right? If you're in an area where you've got more, let's think like electronics or capital goods, right, where there's a lot of web competition, that's how you want to line it up, right? And so you've got that opportunity to stay current, to have your statement of your price image relative to the broader web prices, right? So I think there again, price signs can work, and I think sometimes I've had conversations where people tend to think, well, I can see why you would do that in produce at a grocery, but why would you do it, for consumer electronics?
Right,
but
because it's a very omni-channel space.
So, yeah.
That's a great point. And I think I've even recently been in some, like a home supply store, where rather than having the prices on the item, you pick up the item and scan it, or you pick up the tag and scan it and get the real-time price. It's not been related to the shelf at all.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see. You're right. I think there's some interesting experimentation with that as people are doing. So a lot of factors go into it, but we think that's a big thing, and that there's opportunity in that. A lot of movement. I think most retailers will probably agree that if there is heavy competition from big web channels, right, then they're really looking at this to get across to the consumer that they're going to be competitive where they need to be. And I think that's really what we see, is taking that competitive data and making sure that execution tools are there, right, to get it. Overlay that with the blending of all the rules and the strategies and the science and things that go into this, so that you're not just blindly matching.
Great insights, Dave. Really appreciate it. As you can hear, we've got some brilliant minds at Revionics who've given us a lot of thought. If you're struggling with or thinking about opportunities with dynamic pricing, come talk to us. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.